Welcome to a very special episode of the Circular Coffee Break podcast. As the snow here in Finland has arrived and is turning into slush, we actually were invited to the conference that lends its name from this phenomena, Slush. Slush is the world's leading startup event, bringing together a curated crowd of European startups, world-class investors, and tech journalists. Now, while the event has grown over the years to a very impressive size, I have to say, they still prioritize relevance over scale, bringing tangible value and sharing actionable company building advice. To provide you all with a glimpse into what's happening here at Slush, we have invited participants to introduce themselves, what brings them to Slush, and how they see the state of circularity, or more broadly, sustainability. So let's jump right in and enjoy.
So I'm Sarah. I'm part of Koori Waste Turns Material. We are a Swiss cleantech startup focusing on material science. So what we do at the end is that we create bio-based materials. So we take leftovers from the industry. That could be, for example, olive pits from the olive oil production. And we focus on elastic applications. So, for example, that could be shoe outsoles, that could be small wheels, especially with the focus on microplastic aberration. For example, if we walk or if we ride the bike, we release something. That something is called microplastic. It stays in the environment. It cannot decompose. So we are also doing external studies to showcase that our material can decompose in the environment. And yeah, really happy to be here at Slush. So far, my Slush experience has been great. I mean, it's a lot of things happening at the same time. So you kind of get a little bit of FOMO here and there, so you cannot attend every session and every event. I'm here to kick off a little bit of fundraising, which will start the beginning of next year. So it's like a soft start for me, speaking with all of the investors, especially in climate tech sector. So that has been great, the matchmaking for sure. And also being here with Swiss Tech is, I think, a major goal for us. So great exposure, and so far I do really enjoy it. So the future of circularity, I mean, we are a tech startup, so we are in B2B, business to business. So we work with manufacturers at the end. So this can be companies in the outdoor sector or even automotive sector. And what we really need to see there is a change of regulations. So we need to have certain norms in regards to what needs to be bio-based, what needs to be biodegradable, what needs to be recyclable. We need to have a recycling quote for sure. So this is a major goal, which I think should be changing in the near future. Let me think, what else? Also die Normen sicherlich. Akzeptanz, wahrscheinlich auch noch ein bisschen. And maybe to add up on this, so we need really the first mover companies, the innovators, the disruptive companies who want to test out and try out new materials in order to get them circular, because we see that fossil-based resources are ending. So we need to have solutions ready. There are a lot of great solutions out there. So I encourage really the big corporates to go into cooperation with startups, co-development with them, commercialize with them to make the future more circular.
Hi, Michael. So this is Nigorini, founder and managing partner at Spin Ventures. And Spin Venture is an organization on a very strong mission to accelerate the transition from a linear to a circular economy in the consumer and retail industries. This is something that goes back many years. I would say my very first circular venture was in 1986. I was recycling skateboard at school. The very first commercial venture was in 2006. And then out of that experience, I fall in love with the idea of reusing, upcycling materials, and I see a great value in that. And so in 2012, we set up Spin Ventures. It's an ecosystem approach, so we believe that to accelerate transition circularity, of course, we see tremendous investment opportunities. So we invest from pre-seed to seed to Series A, sort of like companies. But we invest in solutions or circular enablers. So invest in all those innovations that will enable a corporate to become circular. So we're talking about materials, we're talking about recycling technologies, we're talking about software, hardware solutions that enable supply and value chain to become circular. So that's the investment part, but our background is pretty much entrepreneurial, so we are more of an action-oriented group of people, and so we integrate and aggregate technologies to make things happen. We have visions for sectors, whereas we see sectors becoming more circular, and therefore we integrate and aggregate technologies so that they can work together and they can really affect change. I guess our view of circularity is one that sees circularity as a way to optimize, efficiency, to increase operational efficiencies, create incremental revenues, increase profitability, and decarbonize supply and value chain. So our view is that circularity align economic growth, financial returns, and working in sync with nature, without extracting further resources from nature, but indeed reusing the resources that we already have on this beautiful planet. Some of our investments tackle, plastic recycling, companies that are recycling plastics, consumer propositions with, circular design propositions, incentive for recycling. So we sort of like have been investing in all the sort of like circular supply and value chain for plastic, and we've then sort of like start adding clothing and apparel, textiles, and so our most recent investments are again a series of like natural-based solutions and biomaterials, repairing platforms, recycling technologies. So these are the type of investments that we are sort of like investing on. Slush is, I think Slush is a great platform, and it's our third Slush. And I think it's a great opportunity to meet individuals, to share conversations, meet like-minded investors, meet startup founders, meet corporates, and really, understand the challenges and the opportunities from all perspectives, from the perspective of investors, startups, and corporates, as well as policymakers, ecosystem players. So it's a really a great melting pot. There's great energy, and it's an exciting week, I have to say.
I'm Jeanette Blackbeard. I'm the founder of South Africa's first upcycled beauty brand. So what that is we take byproducts from various industries, and then we create our award-winning formulations with them. The industries that we currently use, we use byproducts from the coffee brewing. So we have a caffeine range where I actually use the spent coffee grinds in my body scrub. And then we have a tissue oil and antioxidant serum that we make use of, a coffee oil that's extracted from those spent coffee grinds. Then this year, I also launched my blue light elixir, which uses upcycled blueberry seed oil. So waste from the fruit juicing industry, they take the waste pulp that's finished, extract the seeds out of that, and then crush and make an oil out of it, a beautiful, sustainable oil. So I think what makes us different is that we don't only focus on upcycling in our formulations for our products, but we also focus on upcycled ingredients or components in our packaging. So globally, like the beauty industry generates about 120 billion units of packaging waste per year. So it's an enormous amount. And, as an ex-creative, I understand that packaging is part of the consumer process. They want to pick up something beautiful, but, like a few seconds later, it goes into the waste. So, like I kind of wanted to incorporate either that zero waste or that upcycled component into my product. So our caffeine range that we launched with, I made from upcycled board. So I started out by taking old boxes, gluing them together, and then laser cutting out the packaging. Yeah. And then one day I was standing at my printer as well, and I saw he had like these piles and piles of like offcuts, because they do big runs for like large retailers on packaging. And then I said, what are all of these? He said, no, they're offcuts, they're too small, he doesn't know what to do with them. And I said to him, well, can I use them, And I said, well, I've been laser cutting, but it's not really scalable, going forward. And he said to me, no, we're looking for solutions to get rid of this, because I can't sell it. So we ended up making dyes and making use of that now for our packaging going forward as well. So, and what I did is I created a really unique, instead of making a box, I created like a very unique X shape to hold my packages. So they became like a work of art, So I really wanted to kind of showcase that just because it's waste, it can be something really beautiful. And I get so many compliments on my packaging. I've really tried to be unique and innovative so that it can stand out. But the thing with the board is it still needs to go through a recycling process once it's done. So for when I looked at my next product launch, I was like, okay, what can I do that's really like zero waste? So I launched that in hemp psyllium, which is mushroom grown packaging, which is grown on hemp hurd, which is the waste product from the hemp industry. So it's the substrate that the mycelium grows on. So literally when you take that packaging, you're finished with it, you break it up, you spread it in your garden, and it becomes food for the plants. So, it's a whole zero waste packaging. So going forward, I've got some more interesting, innovative things that I'm busy looking at. I really want to be on the forefront of the packaging as well, because I think it's not just about what's inside the product. You need to consider the kind of whole life cycle of it. So... And what brings me to Slush? Well, I was very fortunate that the Finnish government or embassy in South Africa really put some money into promoting the circular economy. So they sponsored, we had a female ambassador at the time, and they put together a whole lot of programs for female entrepreneurs in the circular economy. So that program kind of started I think it started in the September, and I launched my brand in the October, so the timing couldn't have been more perfect, So that really deepened my understanding of the circular economy and what it all means, because I think Europe's way more advanced when it comes to circular economy. So, stuff that I'd even hadn't thought about in my packaging. I mean, the beautiful X shape, now I'm transporting a lot of air around that. So, I'm going to relook at that going forward, but it just kind of deepened my understanding on everything. And then we had a circular economy hotspot in South Africa as well, and I had the opportunity to take part in a pitch contest, and I won that. So I won a sponsored trip to Slush, so that's why I'm here. It's obviously quite a big, when I started delving on the platform and the app, it's really very tech based. So I found that there wasn't, even in terms of the investors, there's not that many that are really focused on sustainability. So I mean, for a country that's quite big on circularity, I would love to see going forward that Slush put a little bit more focus on not just tech but circularity and sustainability as well. But I mean, for me, just to be part of something like this and to kind of be inspired by what other founders are doing globally and then bring that back to South Africa, because I think we've got we've got some challenging business environment, but people, because of that, we're very creative and we're very agile. So I'd love to bring some of that knowledge and sharing back to our country, and help speed up the circular economy. And where do I think that the future, I always said, in terms of upcycled beauty, I'm the first upcycled beauty brand in South Africa. But I said in a few years, there won't be such a thing as upcycled beauty. It will just be, it's just the way people do it. And it was funny, I attended the Nordic Circular Summit on Monday and Tuesday as well. And like people were saying, they were talking about the circular economy, and they were saying, yeah, in a few years, it won't be the circular economy, it will just be the economy. And that had kind of reiterated my thoughts. That I'd been saying all along. But I think for now, you really need to focus on it, and you need to give people the education around it. So like part of my journey as the founder is really to educate. Like I have to give back and educate. And that's why like keynote speaking and, doing sort of promoting what is circular economy, why is it important, why should people care about that? That's going to be an important part. It's the hardest part and it's the most expensive part, to get consumers to kind of see it. But like as brands that are like in this industry, I think it's really important that, that's an important part of what we do.
Hello, my name is Ulrike, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Sensorita. And we are what I like to call a trash tech company. We create sensors and software for waste management companies to help them streamline and optimize their operations. And more specifically, what we do is that we create digital twins of waste containers. Because once you know where the containers are, what's inside them, how full they are, there's so much you can do to optimize how the waste flows. You can automate a lot of services. So yeah, it's a big inherent challenge, and that brings me to Slush, because it's one of the few places where you can meet so many smart, knowledgeable, talented people, and it's a great idea to build out your network and just like learn from people. Last year I came to fundraise. This year I'm thankfully not fundraising, so I can just enjoy myself, test my pitch or test my hypothesis, learn about different markets. It's what I like to say is that I come to Slush to set myself up for luck, because you never know who you're gonna meet when you're here. And the future of waste management. I think the waste industry is really facing now an exciting time full of challenges. They're facing a huge transition, and that is the circular transition. And the waste industry is a very linear industry. They've built their industry on collecting waste, disposing it in landfills, and now suddenly the whole world is looking to them and expecting them to like be a driver in the circular transition. But the industry is not rigged for that. So I think that is that causes a lot of problems and a lot of opportunities as well. And the most interesting concept is, I believe, is that the waste industry is now turning into a process industry but compared to any other process industry, they are not controlling their incoming materials. So that makes it very difficult to actually do their business good enough. And they have to go through that transition at the same time as being in full operations. And the waste industry is a very logistical industry. It's a lot about moving large volumes of like materials from one place to the other. And if that stops, our whole society stops. And it's very easy to neglect that when you dispose your trash in the waste bin and you never see it again. But it's actually a very functioning logistical operation. So both rigging themselves and setting them up for the future while also running their daily business is a very interesting and big challenge, I think, that we have to solve in order for the waste management industry to actually live out the full potential that they do have and what we need from them in the future.
Hi, I'm Kari Lehtonen from Winterend. I'm CEO of the company. Winterend is a clothing rental company. We rent clothes for foreigners that come to Lapland and need warm clothing, so we rent winter clothes for them. And this is very, very strongly focused on reducing the need for our customers to need to buy clothes, but also to bring their own clothes by plane to their destination, and trying to cut impacts in travel as well as in producing new products. And my background is in engineering and circular economy, so this is a bit of a step out of the engineering bit, but I'm very strongly on the circular business now. I used to be working for Kamupak, which is another startup that was working around a digital deposit system for reusable packaging, kind of getting rid of the disposable packaging. But there, again, you have a product that circulates, and you have users who use it after it's been kind of refurbished or cleaned or whatever. And so it's not very different from the business that we are doing now. And it's a very interesting market in the sense that people are, I'm speaking about the clothing rental business, because people are giving acceptance for these kind of services. They realize that, okay, getting your bigger luggage when you travel somewhere, it has a cost, but also the inconvenience of trying to get your stuff from home to your location. It's always a burden. So we are cutting down that burden as well on the way. And as I see, I've been seeing quite a few, or experimenting quite a few circular economy business models. And I think these ways or these business models where you are kind of figuring out a way to attract people from their traditional habits or traditional consumption patterns, I see there a lot of added value. But challenge is there to figure out where do you have enough scale, enough volumes to actually be able to do that on a profitable way. And let's say in clothing industry, we've seen quite a few experimentations there, but when you're in high-end products, I see those are quite challenging, because then you would need to charge quite high prices from the customers, whereas in this winter clothing rentals business, the circulation of the stock is so fast that, well, in a high season you can have that same product rented out more than one time a week, as compared to some other services where you rent it out once a month or something like that. So I think this is, if you're trying to search for circular economic business models with volume, you need to search for those kind of business cases where there is a natural kind of fast circulation in a sense. And I think this is what we found now with winter rent. And of course you need to figure out a scalable model, so it's not only about having the scale, but in terms of volumes, but also the possibility to scale the business model in other environments. And this is something that we've been focusing on in a sense that actually we offer our services, of course, to the end customer, but our customers are our distributors, for whom we actually provide clothes, we provide them sales and marketing channels, we provide customer service, so we keep control of the quality of the product in the end. And of course, did I mention inventory, but we provide the products for our customers, and this again enables us to actually get such a volumes of the clothes that we can start to design them to some extent based on our needs. So for us as a rental company or a clothing rental company, of uttermost importance is the durability of the products. So this is something that we need to learn a bit on the qualities of the products in order to be able to give feedback to the clothing industry producers, so that we can figure out what are the weak points of their designs, and this way improve the durability of the products in the end. And this, I think this dialogue, we are just starting to build that with some brand collaborations. And I think this is one way to approach it. So building long-lasting relationships is one way to kind of guarantee that you get what you want, and you can get the product that you want.
Hi, I'm Michelle Spitzer. I'm the co-founder of Ecofiber. We developed a process to extract pulp from residual agriculture waste. Our first product is pulp from pineapple plants, because like the pineapple fruit occurs a huge disposal problem in growing countries, and we try to solve this problem. And the pulp is a resource for the paper and carpet industry, and we discovered that the European paper and carpet industry is very open to alternative fibers to wood-based pulp. I'm at Slush because I want to connect with like-minded people. Also, we are currently raising a seed round, and I hope to find the right investor for us to level up our business. And when I think about the circular economy in the future, I really hope that the politics will create more incentives also for already existing companies to shift their business models and to a more sustainable direction.
Hi, my name is Jordi, and I'm one of the founders of the company called Circularize from the Netherlands. And our company is focusing on product and material traceability. So what we do is we track all the different materials and products that are transferred in a supply chain with the goal of providing more information to those that are purchasing it, but also, of course, those that are focused on closing the loops. So, what recycling stream does this need to go into? What's, materials in there? And ultimately, just to make sure that basically you can make the best business decision, right? One that is good financially, but also one that is very good for the planet. So originally, when we were just starting this company, we actually traveled to Italy to visit the most high-tech and exciting recycler of flat-screen monitors and televisions. And while we were sitting in the plane, we were quite excited because we thought, we're going to see, some cool robots or something like that. And unfortunately, this was not the case. When we showed up there, we just saw a lot of tables and people with screwdrivers. And the reason for that was that in these televisions and monitors, we used to put a little tube filled with mercury, which was used for the backlight. And of course, after a while, we found out that maybe it was not the best decision that we've made. So when you process these televisions, again, you throw them in a shredder and the materials get sorted. But if there's the mercury inside, then the shredder will basically send that out into the environment, which is not what you want, of course. So instead, these people were just taking apart these televisions, took them about 4 minutes a piece, just to visually find if there's a tube in there or not. And 80% of the time, they were just literally wasting their time. We basically, acknowledged at that point that if you would have this information up front, of course, you wouldn't have to spend the 4 minutes. But still, we're talking about something that you can visually see, right? So the tube is there or not. So it's very straightforward. But there's a lot of different sorting decisions that you would make about things that you cannot see. So what if there's, let's say, a fire retardant in the plastic, right? Today is just one big mix, so it's very hard to make something new out of it. But if you could sort it out, you will have a pile that is, very good to reuse again. And again, that's all down to information, pretty much. And what we found out is that this information is there, of course, in the supply chain because someone made it, but it's very fragmented. So how do you get this information to the right person at the right time, whether that's for recycling or, of course, ideally for some of the other circular economy loops, where it's all about, what is the thing in front of me and what can I do with it? What is the best economic decision I can make today? What is the best decision for sustainability that I can make today? So with that, we started our journey going back into the supply chain, trying to find, who has this information? Why are you not sharing it today? We went through a lot of different steps in the supply chain. Most of them were like, sorry, I don't know. I'm just buying some, half-finished product with some specifications, and that's it. And then ultimately we ended up with the party that said, oh yeah, of course I know, right? I made this thing, but I'm not going to tell you because I have some very strong business interest to keep my secrets, right? Whether that's who you're purchasing from or what's the composition of the product or like the formulation of your chemicals. So we found out that actually there is this business interest of whoever has this data to not share it, right? Even though further downstream there's a very clear desire to have more data. So then we spent a couple of years making a technology that would actually allow you to keep your secrets while still providing these insights. So the best way to think of this is that what if you have, let's say, a chemical product, like a precursor to the plastic material, for instance, and you do something there with the formulation, right? You don't want to share that exact thing that you're doing, but someone further down the chain might want to ask a certain question. So maybe it's like, does this contain more than 5% recycled plastic, right? So you're maybe not okay with giving the exact number, but this range is okay. So cryptographically, we can provide an answer to that stakeholder that's there further down the chain based on the original data, but you'll never get to see the original one. So it's a bit counterintuitive because as humans, we're very keen on collecting as much data as we can and then making our insights based on that ourselves, right? Because we don't trust anyone else to do that. But in practice today, computers are just way better at that than us humans are. And why does it have to be your computer, right? It can also be the computer of whoever owns it, as long as you can trust the answer, right? And that's the other critical part. So you can only do this if you really have a method to check whether the input was recorded correctly. Of course, this will always be reliant on some external check, like an audit. And I'd say more importantly, you have to rely on the integrity of such a system, right? Are the numbers still the same ones that we're talking about? Have they been tampered with? Is the calculation done according to the correct way, et cetera, et cetera? So those are the things we focus on as a company. Today, we're mostly active in the plastics and chemicals industry because it's a usually very complex supply chain. And there's lots of secrecy involved. So that's our sweet spot. And at Slush, we actually just announced our new investment from a company called Teijin. So they're most known for their carbon fiber products and their aramid products, which is like the high strength fibers. So very excited to start working with them as well. Slush. This has been our fourth time visiting Slush. Every year it gets bigger and better. Still very excited. Already looking forward to next year. Actually, it's interesting to see also this year we saw more companies that are focused on sustainability and circularity in general. So I would say that's a very, very good positive trend. It still has me worried though. So if we look at the state of circularity today, I think there's lots of great initiatives and ideas, including the one that we're working on, right? We're no different. But it's not really done at scale, not at the scale that it needs to happen. Of course, we're focusing on a small piece of that, right? We're just focusing on information sharing to basically optimize circularity. But there's so much to be done. So also I would kindly, ask the listeners of this podcast, if you have any good ideas to speed things up, please let us know. We're looking for it too. But I think from our side, our thesis is that if you have the right information, then at least you can make a decision, right? At least you can start to steer your company towards optimizing this. Whereas a lot of times when we had these conversations with different brands and the companies out there in the world, it was very difficult for them to get a good grasp on what is actually already possible today. Like we've because we are in these supply chains, we do a lot of matching with I would say the upstream suppliers and then the brands, and we talk about all these projects that we can do. And I would say 9 times out of 10, they're surprised about what's actually already possible today or what's already happening in their supply chain. We're just giving them the information. We're not actively doing anything ourselves. We're just sharing. But that is a really good trigger for them to start taking more action, right? And see, can we replicate this? Can we make it bigger, better? So I'm still hopeful for the future of circularity, of course. I just wish it happened a bit quicker.
Hi, I'm Michaela. I am co-founder of Matter. We are an award-winning startup from Vienna in Austria, and we've created a circular economy mattress solution that we target to the hotel industry. And we got started with Matter, my co-founder and I, actually back in 2020 when we came across quite a crazy statistic, and it's that 30 million mattresses are ending up as waste in Europe every year, which when you stack them on top of each other, it's 20,000 times the Eiffel Tower of waste, which just felt really wrong when I came across that statistic. I thought, why is this happening? And it really got me quite angry, to be honest, that such an industry is creating such mountains of waste. And that's essentially what fueled us on our kind of founding mission, which was to try and end that waste problem. And as we dug a bit deeper, we realized hotels also struggle with mattresses. They use a lot of them. They're quite difficult to manage. They're bulky, they're expensive. And at the end of their life, they're often just being sent to landfills or incinerators. So with Matter, we're really on a mission to stop that from happening. We've created circular economy mattresses that are recyclable or refurbishable at the end of their life, and we manage the life cycle for hotels to essentially make sure they don't end up as waste. It's been a long and wild ride so far, but we're still very eager to keep going. And I think that's where Slush is really important, because it's an event where we've had the chance to meet other founders who are working maybe in a similar industry to us or in the climate space, as well as potential investors who we could partner with and could support us on our vision. And of course, just general kind of learning from other topic areas. It's a really inspiring event just to meet other people, and the whole serendipity element of it is really special. I think everyone's very open and relaxed, and I think the event therefore just gives you so many unexpected jewels that you would otherwise not have access to. So we've had a really great time, and I would actually highly recommend it. Of course, circular economy is quite a baby topic still in the grand scheme of the whole startup world. So it was nice though to see some representation, but I would love for next year there to be even more, since in my opinion, the kind of future of circularity needs more and more people to get involved. It's a collaborative approach required, and especially in the industry we're in with mattresses and hotels, it's going to take a lot to really transition to a circular economy, and we need more funding, we need more education and mindset shifts, and so in my opinion, I feel like that's what's really needed to take us forward as well on the next steps. And yeah, it's been quite a wild ride so far, but the roller coaster keeps going, and we're excited to keep exploring how we can continue to transition mattresses into a circular economy and maybe even experiment in some new product areas. Let's see. But yeah, we're all about making sleep matter.
Reflecting on 2 packed days of Slush action is actually really difficult, as so many things have been happening. I guess you realized from the participants we had a chance to talk to that there is a very wide range and diversity among participating startups, investors, and other participants. As I had the opportunity to follow the development of Slush over the years, it was very encouraging to see and hear the growing relevance, importance, and space that circularity and sustainability is actually demanding. Now, while the stage program did not yet reflect that focus on circularity and sustainability, I'm sure this will happen once the startups we've been hearing from and been talking with grow up and become unicorns in their own right. It was a great, energizing 2 days, and I would once again like to thank Slush for the invitation and the participants for sharing their thoughts and insights. And as always, we hope you enjoyed this episode. As we are nearing the end of season 2, we actually started to kick off our planning for the next season, and we're eager to hear your thoughts and ideas. So if you have anything on your mind that we should do and try on the Circular Coffee Break podcast, drop us a note through our webpage, circularcoffeebreak.com, or directly at circularcoffeebreak@gmail.com. Thanks for tuning in, and I'm looking forward to seeing all of you here on the Circular Coffee Break podcast.